You're listening to the Totally Indian Football Show by Humans of Indian Football.
Well, that's right. You're listening to the Totally Indian Football Show. I'm your host, Siju, and it's been a couple of weeks at least since the last episode was out. Well, we know what's been around. We took a short break personally. I think we all were going through some tough times. Some are still going through. And as a nation, also, we are going through some tough times. So hopefully, we come out of this. And to all our listeners, I hope you guys are doing fine. You guys are staying safe. Also, making a comeback on this episode is our very own Sayak. Hey Sayak, student life is keeping him busy away from recordings and podcasts. How is it going? How is the online classes going?
Yeah, man. Hi, Shiju. What's up? And the online classes, it started well. Well, now all the teachers have also, given up, and also we have given up. So it's going on just for formality's sake. But yeah, we are holding it in somehow. So yeah.
Well, I'm sure even the things in terms of East Bengal, the club that you support, is also a bit dicey situation. But I think we'll keep that. We'll keep a show about that when we get some more news from there, and we'll have you again in a couple of weeks maybe. Well, moving on, and we have our very own Abresh Mina, who is a dear friend of mine now, who's a person who we go to for our podcast, and she always says yes. Welcome to the show, Abresh Mina.
Hi, that just kind of shows how not busy I am, how free I am. I'm always free whenever Siju asks me there's to be a podcast. I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll do it.
That just also shows your commitment. That's all. It doesn't have to be like you work. I'm sure after this you go into work, and that's where your busy mode is. So I always bother you before you get busy.
Yeah, but I'm on my morning shift this time around. So yeah, I've been working since morning. So yeah.
Okay. So see, you are busy and you've taken time out. So I think my heart gratitude even more for that. Thank you so much.
Not at all. Not a problem.
Well, the talk and the buzz has already been going on since the time that the 28 man list was announced by Igor Stimac for the World Cup qualifiers that's upcoming, and the first one will be tomorrow. Considering this episode where you're listening to is on a Wednesday, and we have a match on Thursday. 3rd June is the first match that they play against Qatar in Qatar. And we know what happened in the first leg of it. It was a goalless draw, and they then after that they play a crucial games against Bangladesh and Afghanistan. Quite crucial in terms of India also has a chance to make it to the Asian qualifying round as well, Asian Cup qualification rounds as well. Now, I think we are probably a little late into this conversation as a podcast, but as you must have already heard many others talking, we had some Twitter space as well, another podcast talking about this. But firstly, Sai, coming to you, uh, we've already passed the stage of talking about and looking at the squad, but I just wanted to know from both of you, first with Sai, that were you surprised at the list of the names that you saw? As in terms of you saw some names that probably you thought wouldn't be there, and you thought maybe there should be some more names added as well.
To be very honest, the squad was kind of predictable, and but the there are two names which surprised me: Udanta Singh and Pritam Kotal. Like they have been not at their best in the ISL, but to be very honest, Kotal and Udanta have been at their best when it comes to the national team. Like they have performed really well. So I think they got the benefit of doubt, and so these are the two inclusions I was doubtful about, but I think it would pay off because like they always perform well in the national team, but they do not, like they haven't performed well in the last ISL season. And there is one name which I would have liked him to be in was Rahul KP from Kerala Blasters. Like he was one of the few players in the KPFC lineup who actually showed some improvement. So he missing out was a surprise to me, and the rest of the squad was pretty much predictable to me. Yeah.
Brishwana, same question to you. Were you surprised by certain names being there and not being there?
Surprised, like Saik said, I think I wasn't surprised, yes, because Stimach's picks are pretty predictable now. Like he has this set of players that he goes to and then adds a few from recent performances. So yeah, not surprising, but I mean, I pretty much have the same names except like I was definitely I'm definitely not happy with Udanta's selection. I think I said it like previously also. I don't think Udanta has had the merit in the past season or two to be picked for the national team. And in his place, I think there were a couple of people who could have been picked. I mean, like Saik said, there was Rahul KP as well, then there was Romario as well. Then I would have definitely loved to see Jerry Moya being picked because I think he was very, very good in that very weak Odisha SC team. So, yeah, I mean, that would be my take.
Great. So I don't know if it's probably just me. I've not heard people talk about him. Did you guys actually think that probably Ashutosh should have been included? Ashutosh Mehta, considering the last time in the friendlies he was picked and I mean, he's had a good season. Sayak?
Well, Ashutosh has been on and off in the last few years. Like he was fantastic in the last 2 seasons with Northeast and Mohun Bagan, and in the last game as well. But when I was watching him, he is a very good defensive player. But since he is in the right back position, he needs to go up the pitch and support his strikers. But in the games I have watched, he seldom goes up there. So I think Rahul Bheke, someone like Rahul Bheke is a better choice there. Yeah, Ashutosh could have easily made it, but I think there are better options at the right back position, and I think Rahul Bheke takes the spot easily for me. So yeah.
Okay then. So I think before moving on, talking about the same topic, just to tell our listeners, the first round that we had so far, how India has done at the World Cup qualifiers is that they've had a draw, goalless draw against Qatar and 1-1 draw against Bangladesh and Afghanistan respectively, while defeats in both the outings against Oman home and away, which was one was 2-1 and the other was 1-0. Now we are gearing up for 3 crucial games, and I think most of them, wherever I've heard the podcast and otherwise, even when the coach has spoken, the main thing is that we need 6 points from this, and we are looking to get that against Bangladesh and Afghanistan. While probably it could be a difficult task to get some points against Qatar, but we did manage to get the last time around a single point. Abreshmana, my question to you is, what do you think? Because I was reading an article and it mentioned that certain permutation and combination, if India loses against Qatar and they manage to win the other 2 games, then they have to probably wait on Afghanistan's result and so forth. So do you see them having an approach against quite a defensive line? I think that's where even majority of the podcast has also spoken that they're going to sit back and defend against Qatar and take those crucial points against the other 2 games.
Yeah, I think pretty much that is how you can approach Qatar as well. I mean, I don't think against a team like Qatar we can, hope to play with flair or get a very good game as such. But there has to be a lot of grit, which they did show the last time around Qatar. So yeah, that would be the way to approach the Qatar game. It has to be defensive. It has to be very astute, very tactically smart, I feel. So yeah, I mean, it would be very tricky to get a point against Qatar again, but I mean, defensive approach and trying to get a break or a couple of opportunities up front and see if you can do something would be the ideal approach against Qatar. We can't expect to play them out, right? So yeah, I mean, and then apart from that, Bangladesh and Afghanistan will be the games. Bangladesh, we have to win, come what may. I mean, I don't think the team has a choice of even going for a draw or something like that. Not at all. I mean, that game they have to win. I mean, again, the first leg also, the draw against Bangladesh was very disappointing. So yeah, they have to go for a win against Bangladesh and then have to again. They have like 7 days between the Bangladesh game and the Afghanistan game, so they have ample time to prepare for it. So it will be very important for them to go with a very positive approach against Afghanistan. Also, it's not going to be easy at all, but they have to try and go for the 3 points. It has to be like that.
Sayak, do you think, I mean, when can we see an Indian team probably feeling a strong having a strong approach against the strongest opponent? Because right now the situation is such that, okay, it's Qatar and probably we may not have it in us to, give them a fight. So we just sit back and defend. But do you see anytime soon that we have the approach saying, okay, this is a team that's going to go all out. come what may, and this is how we're going to tactically approach and have a team put out that will probably go for a win and not sit back and defend?
Well, if you look at the Asian Cup qualifying structure, like we are at the fourth place, and even if we finish fifth, like all the remaining teams have a chance to make it to the Asian Cup. Okay, like the structure is so liberal. Like the last time out, we finished fifth below Guam as well. Okay, and we still made it to the AFC Asian Cup. So the group stage structure does not have much merit in the qualifying stage because all the teams have a chance to make it eventually. So, like if like India can go against Qatar, like all ends up, but obviously with the pressure of losing 6-0 to UAE and Steve Mac already having a goalless draw, I think going defensive against Qatar is a better choice, as Abrishmina said. But to be very fair, there is not much merit in this qualifying stage, okay, because every team will play again in the Asian Cup qualifying rounds. So if a coach, wants to, experiment, not experiment, like if they want to, go out and have some results, they can do it. Like it's doable because it will not hurt us in the long run, but in the short run it will be disaster, because if India goes out for a all-out approach, we can have a 4-0, 3-0 rout again. But so I think defensive is the best approach. And talking about when India can go out against opponent, like go all ends up, it has to be Bangladesh and Afghanistan. And probably if there are more stronger opponents in the third stage, we can like go there and fight teams like Kyrgyzstan, China. These teams are more viable to go out against and play for a result. But Qatar is super prepared, and they are not the team we should go for a win. I think being defensive and getting a draw, just like the last game, has to be the main approach.
Right now, just like Saik mentioned, Abrishmina, that it's quite a generous structure that Asian Cup has, that everybody kind of gets a chance to qualify. So we also heard Igor Stimac make a statement that come what may, we will definitely qualify for the Asian Cup qualifiers. Now, is that because the way the structure is that it lets you still participate like last time, just like Saik mentioned, or is it like complete confidence in the team that we will take those 6 points and then probably finish on third and go in that way?
I feel that is his, the goal that he has set when he came on board, right? I mean, obviously, the World Cup was not something that you would be aiming for, because it's not something that you can dream of at the moment with the quality of the team that we have and everything. So obviously the Asian Cup is the goal. So I don't think he has the liberty to even say that we'll try and qualify. He has to approach it like we will qualify come what may. That has to be the approach, because I think with all the dreams built around qualifying for the World Cup and everything, it's been said time and again that the thing that we should be focusing on is making it to the Asian Cup again and again and again and again. Every single time you have to make the Asian Cup consistently first, then start going to the knockout stages of the Asian Cup, and then see how you can do in the Asian Cup. So it has to build from that. So yeah, that's his goal. So I feel, of course, as the structure says, it does help with the amount of teams also participating in the Asian Cup. So yeah, of course, that the structure and everything helps, but the approach surely has to be to make the Asian Cup, because not making the Asian Cup would be considered a failure for sure.
Now let's talk a little more, probably a minute or two, on Igor Stimac. Now we also got to know that the technical director of the national team, that's Isaac Doru, he's done with his contract, so it wasn't renewed. And then we have Stimac, who's till September 2021. So Saik, how do you think he's fared? Because it's not so good feedback that across it's going on, and it's also probably because we've faced some tougher opponents than before, and we've lost heavily, so that's probably one. And secondly, maybe somewhere there is a lack of disinterest seen in him, because I think the major flack that he receives is even today is that he wasn't here watching the ISL or the I League games, and how well does he know the players so that he can pick for the squad? What do you have to say about, and overall, if I had to ask you, where does the match stand?
Well, for a team like India, Sriman's approach is not really helpful because he ha- he has been saying from day one when he arrived here that India will play an attacking brand of football. But for an attacking brand of football, you need players to do that. But in India, we just do not have those players to play a passing approach and play an attacking brand of football. So we have to be very pragmatic. Someone like Stephen Constantine did like he had his own problems, but he stuck to his game plan, and he gave us results. Like of the a 4-1 win over Thailand and almost going to the knockouts in the Asian Cup was a big result for us. And I believe that Constantine did well in his limited resources he got. And Stimac needs to watch more games. Like our national team has to respect the I League. Like when he came here and he said that he considers the structure like the ISL is the pathway to break into the national team. But there are guys like Vidyasagar Singh, Kishan Singh, and there are many more talents in the I League. So I think he has been a little complicit when looking at the games and looking at a larger pool of players, because I League is the de facto second division, but it still has a great many Indian players who make it well as well. So I think he has been little lenient when looking at the players, and he's trying to stay at a set of pool he wants to play, and he's not looking beyond that, because someone like Jasuraj and Jerry and even with Dashaga do deserve a shot at the national team, and Stimac has to be a little more pragmatic than being ideal, and he has to approach games by game and not stick to a certain game plan. He has to take a game at once. So I think he has to be a little more pragmatic and have a little bit more tactical outlook at his game, and go for results and not experiment. Because the game against UAE 6-0 loss, I agree that it was a friendly, but the way the team played, it was not encouraging at all. So he has to stick to a game plan and execute the tactic not be just like that. Like we will play attacking football and we have to pass the ball. You have to take an opposition by opposition. So I think he needs to have a tactical outlook change and has to look at more group of players as well.
Right. I think the other point that Saik mentioned, how complacent he's been in terms of not looking at I League and saying only he made a statement as such, right, where he said, okay, just like what Saik just mentioned, that ISL is the pathway and probably he doesn't pick any players from I League. It was what came to us as a surprise after he made that statement. He recently, when Glenn Martins made it to the national team, he also said, "Oh, I've been following his journey since Churchill Brothers." So it's quite a contradicting statement there from our coach. But yeah, nonetheless, we are happy to see Glenn there. But before we move on with certain players in the squad and the opponents, Abrishmana, the same question to you that as I asked Sayak, how do you overall gauge and judge the way Stimac has been so far?
I feel Stimac is very how do I put it? I think he's kind of stubborn. Uh, After spending this much time in the Indian football setup and seeing how the way Indian football works, I think it's time for him to say that playing with the ball all the time is not the right approach for the Indian national team. I think Sayak also mentioned it. Just looking at the ISL probably kind of blurs his vision, I feel, because ISL you have a different sort of setup. You have that kind of play that gives this outlook that India can play like this in a certain way, like India can play like FC Goa, but that's not possible. You have to look at how all these players individually fit in with fellow Indian players, and that is where I think he's kind of failing. He has to rein back. I agree with Saik when he says that you have to be more pragmatic. You can't just you can't just be there and keep saying that India will play with the ball. We're far away from that. We have to look at how you can get results. So just saying that I'm experimenting with everything and I'm seeing who fits, who doesn't fit. I mean, if you see the squad, all the squad selections, it's pretty much like we mentioned in the start of the podcast, it's predictable, right? So he has been picking the same set of players more or less. So don't understand this thing of I am experimenting and trying to see who I can take or who I can't take, because he now has a set of players that he wants to go to. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of confusing. I think Stimac uh, is yet to understand the scenario around him, the setup around him, the team around him. So yeah, I just feel sometimes he's very contradictory.
Right, and talking about FC Goa, I mean, I mentioned this player's name earlier, Glenn Martins, right? And we'll be seeing him. I think we were all, the buzz around him was rightly so, the way he's performed and he's come up the ranks and this has a great story. Even recently in the last entire season, the way he showed up for FC Goa until the last game of the AFC Champions League. So, Abrishmana, starting with you, I want to ask you, do you see, just like you just mentioned that we need to have more, or the coach needs to have more of an approach where he sees where the Indian squad gel together and play well together, and unlike when they play for clubs where you also have the foreign contingent. So there are talks that Glenn could make it or maybe not, and he's not played often with his fellow Indian players. So do you see Glenn making into the playing 11, or would he be somebody who just comes off the bench and is expected to do that way?
I honestly feel, I mean, there can be a couple of games where Glenn can make it, and I think he should make it because, like Juan Fernando said in an interview that I read, that what will help Indian team with Glenn, with respect to Glenn, is his work ethic, and that he's shown throughout his time with FC Goa in the ISL, the half season of the ISL and the AFC Champions League. So he has shown that sort of work ethic. I mean, if you see him throughout a match, his energy and his concentration pretty much remains for the entirety of 90 minutes, which is a great attribute for any team. So, and then he has this ability to even find good passes and make a lot of blocks and timely blocks. So I feel working under Juan Fernando has really helped him because Juan keeps talking about his timing of every move and everything, controlling the spaces and timing of moves and stuff. So I think that has really helped Juan, and I really think Stimac should make use of that because Glenn's work ethic is something that I also feel would be of great help to the team.
Shaik, now I think let's just spend some time talking about our opponents, right? We will be facing Qatar, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. And in the last time, the outing that we had against Bangladesh, we kind of, I don't know, maybe it was complacency or maybe it's that we just took them for a ride, saying that, it's Bangladesh, we can probably take it off. And it was, we had a disappointing run and we kind of drew 1-1. So how do you see these teams shaping up, especially with Qatar also, where I'm sure they would probably be a little frustrated that it was a goalless encounter the last time around. So if you can just take us through all these three teams, how they fare, and if you have some names that probably the Indian team should probably be wary of now that we are kind of familiar with the squad, but nonetheless.
Yeah, so first up with Qatar, obviously, and they're like super prepared. And since they're the 2022 World Cup hosts and they're playing a lot of great teams, like I think the last 2 months they have played 3 friendlies and they defeated Luxembourg and they defeated Azerbaijan as well, and they even drew 1-1 with Ireland. Okay, so these are 3 great results, and I don't think we are gonna get a 0-0 draw again. I think there will be a defeat there for us, and they even have the CONCACAF Gold Cup lined up where they will play teams like Portugal as well. So, Qatar is a team we should not have much hopes against, obviously, and I think, and they have They have players like Almoez Ali, Akram Afif, and they were in the Asian Champions League as well. They have been scoring goals for Al Duhail and Al Saad. So I think Qatar is a straight game where you have to play for a draw and not hope that we win, because that will hurt yet again. And coming to Bangladesh, like they are a tricky team. Like I was in the stadium when we played Bangladesh, and it was super frustrating. Like they did not play well, but Bangladesh was a very gritty team. Like the way we played against Qatar was the way Bangladesh played against us. Okay, like they marked our players so well that we did not get any space at Bangladesh. Bangladesh almost scored 2 or 3 more goals, but somehow it was just one. And but this time around, I think Bangladesh will be super unprepared, because they were supposed to go to Saudi Arabia for a tour, and it got cancelled due to the complex COVID-19 thing. And the coach is very frustrated. I think the last week I was reading an interview where Jamie Day, the Bangladesh coach, was almost blasting the federation that they are super unprepared, and he himself said that he is not very hopeful that they will win any game. So I think Bangladesh is a match where we can go all ends up and hope for 3 points. And I think they have 2 names which we should look for. There is Jamal Bhuiya, obviously, from our Mohammedan Sporting Club, and there is Tariq Kazi, who plays in Finland. But these leagues, but these lower leagues in Denmark and Finland don't have much merit. But so I think it's not a case where we should hope anything big from these 2 players. But yeah, these 2 players are the main players they have. And coming to Afghanistan, they played 2 friendlies. I think in the last week, they defeated Indonesia 3-2, and Singapore they drew 1-1. So it's again a very tricky side. Like compared to Bangladesh, they are very, very well prepared, and even we failed to get the Philippines matchup. So I think Afghanistan is a little bit more prepared than India, and I think that will be a tricky match, just as we saw in the last leg. It was 1-1 draw. So I am hoping for a win against Bangladesh, a draw perhaps against Qatar, which is unlikely, and a draw or a win against Afghanistan. And they have their usual names: Zohaib Amiri, the I-League veteran, and Faisal Shaiste. So these 2 names we should have a lookout for. And it will be interesting to see the role of Oman in these 3 matches, because all the 3 teams also play Oman. Okay, so if Oman managed to defeat Afghanistan and Bangladesh comprehensively, I think India have a chance finishing at least 3rd, if not 4th. So I think so these are the 3 teams I was looking at.
Great. I think, Brishmana, now coming to you. How, like Saik mentioned, I don't expect probably yet another goalless draw or a draw against Qatar. So we are kind of looking at a loss. It could be a defeat, but the question is what would the margin be, and how would it affect the team, because then they play a crucial game against Bangladesh that we're expected to win, right? So, and especially we are entering this qualifiers after a 6-0 defeat. Though it was a different team, we have a different team here. Chetri is back in the squad, and there are also talks that probably Chetri may not feature entire 90 minutes or the first 11 or either of that in the first game, because we would want him to be a key player in the following 2 games. So how do you see Indian team showing up for this game, and especially if it's going to be a defeat, how do you see then a comeback from them in the following games? What should the match be like? It has to be a very heavy defensive team then.
Yeah, it has to be defensive, because I agree with Sayak. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a draw this time around. I pretty much think that they'll win. So all the team has to make sure is not to lose by a big margin. That way, and for that we need to be very defensive, very gritty, and then again like very concentrated and keep working for the whole of 90 minutes, which would be a massive task. So yeah, I mean, for Qatar game, it has to be, we have to look to keep it the margin of defeat as low as possible, and then go all out against Bangladesh. For Afghanistan, I mean, I completely agree with Sayak. They are very prepared. They're more prepared than us, perhaps. So it's that is going to be a very tricky game. Obviously India would be looking to win that game as well, but it's going to be extremely tricky. And the again, I feel when the national team is approaching these three games, uh, it there has to be a lot of smart tactics involved, and I don't know how much that will work with Stimac. So it's going to be quite tricky and quite interesting actually to see what goes on in the field, of how Stimac actually sets up the teams for all the three games. It's for Qatar, like we said. I mean, it has to be. We can't expect to win or draw again. So yeah, but Bangladesh has to be the game that you completely target, and you have to win. And I mean, it's very much possible. But again, we can't be complacent, because I think we were pretty complacent against Bangladesh the last time around. So you can't be complacent, and you have to go all out and make sure that you win that game.
Okay, I think now it's time. Let's talk about the playing 11 that probably you both feel that should be fielded, and understanding and knowing the way the match is. This is how it will go. I'll start with Saik. Saik, you're playing 11 for India for the first game, and probably how would they fare in the following two matches? Or would they be same? Then you can mention that. If you think there'll be changes, then you can highlight that as well. So go on, Saik.
I think someone like Chetri is needed for the Qatar game. Okay, so I will start from the back. Sandhu gives the nod. He has been unpredictable, but he is still the number one. And Rahul Beke on the right. Perhaps Kotal can also slot in there, but I will go with Rahul Beke. Jinglen is the obvious pick. And to partner him, I will not go with Adil Khan, because he has been pretty much on the downside for FC Goa. So I will go with Chinglen Sana there. And perhaps Akash has not in the left side. And in the center, it's a very tricky situation. But against Qatar, I will go with Glenn Martins, because he likes to block the ball. He's an excellent blocker. So I will go with Glenn Martins, not Rowlin. And on the either two wings, it's Brandon and Thapa for me. On the wings, the left and right part of the midfield. And on the right side, I think Stimac will go with Udanta, because I think that was the reason he was picked for, to supply balls to Chetri. I think they have a great chemistry going in the national team. And on the left side, I think it's Shangti for me. And with the Bangladesh and Afghanistan game, I think it will be a more attacking approach. And there, I think Glenn Martins may not get the nod. I think Rowling Borges will slot in place of Martins, because he is a better passer than Glenn Martins. And I think Manveer Singh will get a nod ahead of Chetri in the next two games, because, as you said, there is news that Chetri may not play the entirety of the three games. So I think Chetri starts in the Qatar game, but I think Manveer will get the nod in the next two games. And yeah, these is pretty much, I think, will be the two changes, I think, yeah.
Oh, interesting. But what I was trying to say is probably they might leave Chetri out of the Qatar game, because the next two is crucial. But fair point, I think. Maybe we'll have to wait and watch. Brishmana, what do you think? And how is your playing 11 going to field against the three teams?
Yeah, I do feel like I agree with Siju in that sense that against Qatar, I think we can think of leaving Chetri out of the starting 11. So for the Qatar game, I'd go with a 4-2-1-3 actually, more like Gurpreet in goal, and then Bheke on the right, Sana and Jingan in center, and Akash Mishra on the left. I would keep a defensive midfield with Apoya and Glan, and have Brandon in the number 10 role. Have Manveer on right, Bipin on left, and Pandita on as the striker. Because I feel if Apoya and Glan can recover the ball, Brandon can play a very good role, because he has this knack of finding excellent passes. So Brandon can take the ball up, and with Manveer and Vipin's pace on either flanks, if we recover the ball and take it up fast, we kind of have a chance of creating something. So yeah, I'd go with a 4-2-1-3. For Bangladesh, it would be a 3-4-3 for me. Amrinder on goal. For both Bangladesh and Afghanistan game, I'd go with Amrinder on goal. And a back three of Sana, Sandesh and Adil. And then I'd have Pritam Kotal as as the wing back actually for the Bangladesh game. Apuya and Rowlin in center and Ashik on as left wing back. So and then have Manveer, Chetri and Brandon for front three. Because obviously Brandon can slot in on either wings. We've seen him do that for FC Goa as well. So yeah. Then for Afghanistan game, I'd go back to a back four. Bheke, Sana, Sandesh and Akash. Then in the midfield, I'll have Apoya, Rowlin and Thapa. And then I'll have Brandon and Manveer like slotting on either wings with Chetri up front. So yeah, that's how I'll go for all the 3 games.
Oh, that's some interesting picks from both of you, and I think, I think at the end of the day, it's not our picks, but it's the pick of the coach Igor Stimac that we'll have to wait and watch and how the team performs. I would say though, I don't know if we are being too confident as fans and as journalists or as people who cover the sport and follow the sport, that probably we are kind of putting, okay, we have to and we must and we can take those 6 points from Bangladesh and Afghanistan. But it's definitely, according to me, going to be a crucial test for Stimac and the boys, and we will see. Yes, despite the, I think it was Sandeep who mentioned in the Twitter space or something, or in his tweet that we should be a little less harsh on how they perform and how they cope up with this, because we all are going through difficult times and bubble after bubble, and now they are over there away from family and stuff. So things are bad back home. So it would be really daunting on their mental health. But at the same time, since it is a senior team and since we all want results and it is a crucial result that we are looking forward to, not the World Cup but the Asian Cup. So I think this will definitely be a great test in terms of that and see how they fare up. So I think this was a great show, though we were probably late into discussing about this and this upcoming encounters of the national team. But once again, thank you so much. I hope all the listeners have enjoyed this, and I think my favorite part was you guys picking that playing 11. It was quite interesting. So thank you once again, Sayak and Abrishmana. We'll have you both again probably after we are done with the 3 games and we look back at how it all went, and maybe we'll have something interesting in between. For that, you'll have to follow our social media handles of Humans of Indian Football on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And please do give us, subscribe to us and like us and follow our podcast, The Totally Indian Football Show, on audio platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, and we are also available on the Humans of Indian Football YouTube channel. So we have some great episodes out already. So please do listen, especially the last one that we had where Nevin was here on the show. He was talking about Kalpant and how his journey has been. And after which he kind of announced a lot of other things as well. So go on to our podcast and listen to our episodes. We'll try and be regular from here on. But thank you so much for your patience and all the love that you guys have shown. A shout out to all of you guys who've helped us to cross 1,000 mark on the followers count on Instagram and Twitter respectively. Thank you so much. Help us to now reach the subscription 1,000 number on YouTube as well, and continue to show us the love on the podcast. This is your host Siju. Once again, thank you Abrishmana and Sayak, and to all our listeners, have a great day. Enjoy. See you.